Good morning, everybody. Today it is June 7th in the year 2021. It is 8 a.m. Eastern, and it's the Hive-Engine weekly developers meeting. So we're here with Bait, Cryptomancer, Lion, and Riaz, and between all of us, we are going to go kind of talk you through some of the development that's happening. Unfortunately, Eon can't join us right now. But it is important to note that Eon is sharing in chat here. Excited, it looks like a few SMTs will start up soon. I'm going to release the Scott Indexer open source and set that up on the machine that I have testnet on, along with a corresponding nitrous. So the big news there is that it looks like we're ready to go launch the SMTs. And so we've done this through a centralized server for a while called ScottBot. But now it's just going to operate through all the witness nodes, and we're not going to be there. We're not going to touch keys. We're not going to mess with it. We're going to stand back and just let you guys do your thing, which to me is just super exciting. So I wanted to do that, and then hey, Mancer, why don't you give us a quick heads up on where you're at and the BSC bridge and what else you're working on.
All right, so first, it's worth noting the important milestone today that the SMT contract, which we technically call the comments contract, and the NFT auction contract are both fully live now as of today and working on the back end. So I think there's still some more front end work that needs to be done around that, but on the back end, fully live, which is awesome. And last week I did a bunch of stuff. So first there were some code reviews for Eon Warped and some contract deployments that I did. We did a couple bug fixes for the tokens contract and the mining contract. And then I also rolled out a couple optimizations for the comments contract to make it a bit more efficient. And then I spent a bit of time looking into the upcoming Hive Hard Fork 25. Which is tentatively scheduled for the end of this month. So I wanted to see if there would be any effect on the Hive-Engine. And it looks like there won't be anything that we have to do for that. All the existing library versions and everything that we use should continue to work fine. So it should be a smooth transition for us. What made it nasty last time is that the chain ID changed as we completed the break away from Steam. So that was a little bit tricky. But this hard fork should be much less complicated, and so I expect it'll go a bit smoother. We'll monitor it, of course, as the date approaches, but I don't anticipate any difficulty for Hive-Engine right now.
Are we going to shut down? I kind of feel like we should shut down, like at least for the first couple hours after the hard fork happens.
Yep, we can definitely do that, just to make sure that the chain is stable and running again after the fork time. Yes, I think that would be a good precaution.
You know, shutting down might just be like not allowing deposits and withdrawals for a bit. You know, like the exchange could keep operating, but you know, it's a lot easier to fix any kind of mistake if the cryptos don't actually leave the engine at all.
Yep, I agree. It doesn't hurt to be safe, so we can put together a plan for that as the time approaches.
Okay.
So,
go on.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so I also started working on the Binance Smart Chain bridge and got some good progress made on that. So let me copy in the project status for that. One moment.
Yeah, I have it on my to-do list to go get a server for that this week.
Yes, that was going to be the next thing I said. We need to get a server so I can start setting that up, as well as the new gateway account for it. So I've been making some changes to the code just to prepare for that. So there was a new gas oracle source so that the gateway can accurately measure the gas costs on BSD, which thankfully are always very low. And then I played around with the APIs a bit and looked at BSC scan, which is literally a copy of Etherscan, but adjusted for the Binance Smart Chain. And it looks like that will work great for us. So the APIs, everything should just work as is. We just need to change the nodes that we're pointing to. And there is some minor development work needed just to generalize the gateway a little bit, because there's lots of hard coding for things like the name of the Ethereum network, and there's a bunch of hard coded references to ETH scattered around the code and whatnot. Because originally, when the gateway was made, it wasn't made with multiple chains in mind. So I just need to kind of generalize it a bit and make it so that it's easy to have the network that it's running on controlled by configuration. So that's in progress, and it'll probably take a few more days to finish that up. But I expect maybe by the end of this week or so, I'll have it fully running in QA. And then at that point, the front-end guys can start working on the withdrawal and deposit support on the UI. So that will be a task for Riaz for Tribal Dex and Lion for Hive-Engine Classic. And it's going to be pretty much an exact copy of the process flow that we have in place for Ethereum deposits and withdrawals and ERC20 deposits and withdrawals, except everything will say Binance Smart Chain instead, and it'll be BNB instead of ETH, and it'll be using some slightly different API endpoints internally. But it shouldn't be too hard to set that up, I think. And then once all of that is ready, then I'm thinking swap.bnb and swap.cub will be the first two BSC tokens that we roll out.
Which one? Say those two again. Cub and what?
Cub and BNB.
Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe a BUSD as well.
Let's see. We have USDT right now. Yeah, I think we can do BUSD. Yep, that should be fine. We just have to be careful initially not to try to deploy anything that we already have for Ethereum, because we don't yet have support for tokens that exist on multiple chains simultaneously. So getting that in will be kind of a follow-up project. But we don't have BUSD yet, so we can do that one as well.
Sweet. Yeah, getting cross-chain seems like a giant thing, and making this generalizable. I think a lot of these blockchains are going to go to like everything having an EVM. So even if they're not, initially just an Ethereum clone, isn't like EOS and Telos and all these others like putting in EVMs?
I'm not really sure what they're doing. Have to look into that. But I was having a conversation with Gerber, who mentioned that Matic is another Ethereum clone, so we can probably add support for that without too much difficulty. We'd have to do some more development work around the API, because there's no Etherscan clone for it, so we have to switch to using a different API format, but I expect that's a hurdle we could overcome. So it's feasible we could do a Matic gateway if you think that would be worthwhile.
I also have some contacts over there, so it's possible that I could ask them, do you guys have a Etherscan clone that you're planning on spinning up anytime soon?
Okay, if they are, that would make it super easy for us.
I'll poke around at that. Yeah, that would be great. And in the not too distant future, one of the next tokens we'll have to get up here. It's still like a month away, but getting the Splinter shards up and running, that'll be a high priority as well.
Yep, definitely.
I know Matt's planning on having that operating like normal from in-game, but also being able to deposit from Binance Smart Chain and trade. That we'll have to go figure that out when we get there.
Yep, that's going to require a bit of special coding, I think, to handle that, because then we'll kind of have because it's kind of special because we don't have like swap.sps. It's just called SPS. So we need to kind of figure out how to handle that properly. But it would be great to support that directly within Engine, so people don't have to strictly go through in-game for it.
Yeah, it'll be great. All right, well, I'll try to spin up a server this week. Anything else you need from me to get this up and running?
Just the server and the gateway account, that should be it, and then I can handle the rest.
All right, that sounds pretty awesome. I don't know, guys.
There is one other thing. Yeah, there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about too. Something that just came up today. So it's been revealed that we've had people kind of abusing the Hive-Engine API a little bit with too many high-frequency requests. And as a result, it's been causing the API to become really slow and unresponsive. And it looks like it's been going on for a while now, and it's been causing a lot of general slowdown with the website and fetching data about the state of the chain. So today
Do you
we
think
implement.
is that like an attack, or is that just like lazy coders? What do you think that is?
It's not an attack. I would guess lazy coders. Like, for instance, it could be trading bots run amok that are just grabbing market data way too often, or people not being careful about how many times per second they query, stuff like that. So, what we did to mitigate that is we added some rate limiting today. So, with the new rate limiting, the web server that manages the API will not allow more than 5 requests per second from a particular IP, with small bursts allowed to allow the website to be able to do what it needs to do. So after we added that, we noticed immediately that the load on the server dropped off and the responsiveness of the website sped up considerably. So I think the lesson to be learned here is that we have to be mindful of how much load is being placed on the API. And the primary engine node that we have is still a single point of failure, even though we now have this distributed witness network. So what we need to do is keep on gradually revamping the various services and get third parties to do the same so that everybody's not using the same primary engine node and that load starts to get spread out more across the various public nodes. And we've already done a good deal of progress in that area for things like the withdrawal services, which now automatically rotate nodes, and they'll send a request to one node and then send the next request to a different node and then send the next request to a third node, and so on and so forth. So everything is very spread out amongst the nodes, and the Ethereum gateway does the same. So it's kind of a shift in the way that you think about doing these queries. Instead of just slamming everything at the one server that we had in the past, it's good to be mindful of thinking about, hey, how can I distribute my queries out amongst multiple servers? And we also have this new thing on Tribal Decks now where if you notice one node's being slow, you can go into your user settings and you can select a different node to use, just like you can with Keychain with Hive nodes. So that's a really cool thing to have. And it'd be nice if Lion could get that same sort of thing put into Hive-Engine Classic soon.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So that's all from my side. Just wanted to talk a bit about that so everyone's aware.
No, that's a lot of development. Thank you, sir. Um, okay. Lion, how are you doing?
Any questions or anything about that?
No, I mean, oh, sorry, I'm not doing it. I thought I was on. I forgot I'm on push to talk. No, that sounds great. I mean, it just sounds like you're making lots of progress. Um, the what do you think is coming up right after the BSC integration? What's your next baby under that?
Well, we were talking about wax at some point. Do you still want me to look into that?
Yeah, that's the one that keeps coming up. So getting like Wax itself is an EOS fork. So since we already have EOS on chain, getting Wax as like a place that there's a lot of folks that are on Wax and use Hive, and like the Splinterlands bridge helped with that. But now there's some good cross collaboration, but there's not easy ways to go convert from Hive to Wax. So if we could get that operational, that would be pretty good. And then secondarily, if we can get our NFTs from over here to be on Wax, that would be great. In part, Riaz has been sitting on this for a while, and he's already gotten his part done, and I have not been good about my marketing stuff because of some personal stuff going on. But we have the ability to go launch some NFTs, and if we could launch them, but also have them be make it so that they can live and be sold on Wax, I think that will be pretty appealing, because then it's like a whole second market for where we can put our art and how we can do some of our projects, and then if there's an easy like not fiat, but fungible token bridge, that's all going to come out really well.
Yep, I agree. It would be really great if we could easily move our NFTs back and forth to Wax. Well, that would be a good next thing to look into.
Yeah, so let's finish up BSC, and then and actually one of the other things, Don Chait hasn't been all that responsive of late, but we should the decentralized token fund stuff needs a little bit of love, so that like right now, if I'm the provider of the token, or if I issue the token, I can go distribute it. But what I really want to be able to do is do something like, I have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, and I will put into this liquidity pool, here's my Bitcoin rewards as like, swap.btc. And for the next 3 months, the people that are providing liquidity are going to get 10 grand in Bitcoin from us. And that's not really capable right now, from what I can tell, which is not what I want to see. I want to see it where anybody can sort of create a reward pool that gets distributed based off of stake weight in the liquidity pools. So I think that contract needs a little touch up so that it can be a little bit more flexible. And I keep forgetting that that B is not issued by like at Hive-Engine. B is issued by at null. So there's got to be like some contract deployment that makes it so that we can start distributing B.
Yep, that makes sense. The easier it is to use that contract, the better.
Yeah, just like more options. I feel like that's missing. So maybe you and Don has been kind of I poked him, so he kind of knows what's up. But maybe you can talk to Don, see where he's at, and then I'd like to do that before we do Wax. So if he can take it, great, and he can do the work, and that seems like it's a reasonable timeline. Okay, and if not, then hopefully that's something that you prioritize next after BSC is up. Because I'd really like to get that decentralized token fund like more flexible than what it is right now.
Okay, sure. I'll have a chat with him about it and see where we want to go from there.
Perfect. Okay, Lion, do you want to give us an update? Where are you at in the DSwap process?
Yeah. Hi guys. Hi. So I was basically out for a couple of weeks because of some sickness. I also have a lot of people around my family who are infected with COVID. Luckily, we are not infected, so that's good. But still, there were some health issues. So basically, I was blocked last 2 weeks. Happily, last week I started picking up things again, and I was working on this DSwap documentation, which would give anyone use our services. Then some Hive-Engine and Steam Engine Classic support things came up, so I paused with the documentation and took care of these support stuff. So last thing I picked up for these engines was the dynamic display of these token fee creation. Someone was creating a lot of fake tokens on Steam Engine, and Cryptomancer increased this token creation fee for this Steam Engine website, and we are currently looking dynamically at this field to show the correct amount, so we don't need to modify the code every time we are changing the fee. Still, there are a couple of items I need to pick up for these engine websites. So the issue mentioned by Cryptomancer just a couple of minutes ago for this slowness of the website. I just heard that TribalDex already applied something, so I need to talk to Riaz. Maybe we can reuse some of his code in the classic websites to switch between the nodes when people are reaching the site. And then I need to finish the documentation on DSwap, and then we need to come together, aggro, to talk about what the next priority is for myself. So there are a lot of things going on. We need to make some of the items which have the higher priority in your eyes to work on sooner than the other stuff which can wait, basically.
All right. Well, the main priority is still getting to the point where, like on NFT Showroom, if I want to go purchase one of the pieces of art, there's a button that says, DPay. And I click on DPay, and I can use whatever cryptocurrency the crypto token converter supports to go from that crypto to swap.crypto to swap.hive to purchase to send the NFT. And that's when we get there, then it's time to move on to other stuff. But that's still the highest priority.
Okay. So there are a couple of steps there we need to define. We were talking about making some modular code which can be used by any front end to utilize our DSwap. Is that still in your?
Yeah, because we want it so that like any website can put this on. So like right now, if I'm going to use DSwap, I have to be on DSwap. But
Yeah.
if there was like, what would be better is if it's all on the back end. And so like it would be great if I just wanted swap.hive and I could be on whatever website is around, and they just help me publish the correct format for the custom JSON, and I can go, basically do DSwap from any website. And then on any website, I can do DPay, right? Because now we can start accepting any crypto, and it uses the bridge, and it's this decentralized thing, and away she goes. So the more that it's like not tied to our website, but that, like the way I see it is, you're often trying to track all these individual transactions. All right, so if you're on like the sister website, you just want to do a quick deposit. Great. All right, so you hit DSwap and you do the quick deposit. And if for any reason it doesn't go through, then you would go to dswap.trades to go figure out what were the different steps, what didn't happen, what went wrong, what did I do, and like all the like hardcore like transaction details are there, but any of the utility of actually doing the swap can be done on any website, and really it just should be publishing custom JSON code, and then doing the transfer, the initial financial transfer.
Yeah, there is still some development needed for these websites which want to utilize our service, but we might also come up with some basic demonstration code for different websites, maybe, so that they can just clone it or fork it and use it on their own website. Let me think about the possible solutions there.
Okay. Yeah, because like ideally, even somebody like Peak D, right? Peak should be able to have on the little sidebar swap, and
Yeah.
it should be like Litecoin to Hive, and you just put it in the side there. You want to bring $50 of Litecoin in, and away you go.
Yeah. Okay.
And then once they start hosting like NFTs, hopefully from the different tribes, it should be DPay. And so even though you're on, Mythical or Farmer or anything else, or if you're on NFT Showroom or some other site, you're just like, I want that NFT, and I'm going to pay with Litecoin. So you pay it, deposit it, switch to Hive, purchase it, and it gets sent. And we basically operate all of those little baby steps for them.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so do you want me to focus on this node switch first?
Which one do you think is easier to implement from where we are now? Is it easier to do allow it to operate from any website, or do you think it's faster to just add the last step of like buying and sending the NFT?
Oh, I was referring to this the slowness issue of the Hive-Engine website. So that still needs some attention. I will need to talk to Riaz how he implemented it on Tribal Decks. Do you want me to pick that up first before I continue with DSwap? Because that seems to cause also some issues.
If you guys are getting like if there's maintenance stuff and the things that should always come before new development, like number one should be security, and number two should be like ongoing good user experience. So as long as if those two things are broken, then like new development should pause to support that. And if there's anything wrong ever with security, we should like stop everything we're doing and just protect funds. But assuming that funds are safe, there's no immediate security threat, and the user experience is good, then we should be continuing on with new development. But like if we shouldn't just be like racking up technical deficits everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Clear.
All right. Riaz, tell us about the site. What are your current objectives and goals right now?
Hi everyone. Last week I have been pretty busy with the condenser. I actually made some good progress. I'm really happy with. I'll be sharing some screenshots. This is the current one. This is the post editor for the new Tribe website that we are calling Tribe 2.0. So this post editor and post rendering also works. I have also managed to work on a new profile page. Let me share that. This is the new profile page design. So everything here almost works. There are lots of moving pieces in the condenser. I actually never worked with condenser like websites, so this has been a pretty much a learning experience for me too. So as much as the time is progressing, I am learning and learning a lot and trying to improve how things are going. So here the boating and downboating also works, post creation works, and the post rendering also works. And coming week I will be also working on the single post rendering. And to talk about more about the last week, also released the automated listing of ERC20 tokens on Hive-Engine. The interface is live on Tribal Decks. Also worked a bit on NFT showroom, designing a new profile section for the users. And I want to share some thoughts about what Lion will be working on, the DPay thing. I think if the DPay can expose some API endpoints, that will be enough for NFT showroom. Like buying the NFT would be a huge tax. Sometimes the user may not want to do a single transaction to buy a single NFT. Transaction cost might be the issue. Like if someone want to use BTC to buy NFT may be worth 50 Hive, but BTC transaction cost won't justify sending 50 Hive worth of BTC. So maybe you can expose some API endpoint that I will be able to hook onto from the inbuilt wallet of NFT showroom, and all the other NFT sites that I have been building all have their own Hive-Engine wallets in them. Then I can implement a get swap.hive button that will open up a pop-up that will list the possible cryptos that we can spend on DSwap, and we will generate a address, or we will get an address from the DSwap API, and when the user transfers money to that address, you'll just buy swap.hive or convert it to swap.hive and send that to the user account. So that will be the most viable option and easiest option I think will be for NFT showroom and all the other NFT sites I have been building. And in the current version, there is no we in the current version I am not using the market pools, but for the auction contract, users need to pay in bees. So for the fee of the creating auctions, so in the staging version there is a option to use the market pools to get B using swap.hive. It will be a one-click experience. So I want to build something like that with DPay. So that will be like user will click once or twice and the swap.hive will be there. They can spend it to mint tokens or buy NFTs, whatever they like.
I mean, to me, it kind of feels like it's the credit system in a way, right? So instead of having Splinterlands credits, just everything is done in swap.hive. So just how do we convert everything to swap.hive, and then away we go.
Yeah, then the user can choose to mint new tokens or buy NFTs or use it somewhere else, maybe on Lency or anything, any other sites we have been building.
Okay. How much? So now that you've gotten this far in Condenser, like how much more do you think it's going to take to get Condenser living side by side with the like NFT creation and administration page? Can that all live in one website? And if so, like how far away do you think we are?
It's very hard to estimate, but I am targeting 1.5 months.
Okay.
But it's a lot of moving pieces need to work together, and I also never worked on any condenser projects, so do not have any previous experience, so very hard to estimate.
Are there parts of this that are like is that really towards the most minimum viable project or most minimum viable product? Because if there's anything that like if we can get the bare minimum of blogging and the bare minimum of NFTs up and running, I'd be interested in trying to get that live.
Yeah, I was quoting for the MVP.
Okay. Month and a half. That's crazy, especially with how much stuff is going to be in our way along the way. You know, it's going to be like, all right, well, now we also have if the auction contract is live, like how much work do you have to do to get auctions for NFT showroom?
That's almost done. Crimson Clad is working on the design front, and if she is satisfied, then we can launch anytime.
Sweet. All right, well, at least that one's not in the way. Month and a half. All right. What about interface for SMTs? Do you like that's one of the other ones that needs to go live? Like that's like some kind of form.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that as the SMT contract is now live. Maybe we need to side by side interface for the new SMT contracts as well as the Escort bot, because not sure if all the current types will want to switch to the SMT right away.
Yeah, I don't know. There's two groups that want to do this, and frankly, this is a little bit buried. So this is good. There's a large community that is not on Hive that is thinking of moving to Hive as a tribe, and I think they're going to start as an SMT, and it's I don't know. They're probably as big or bigger than Leo Finance. So this thing is coming, and having that creation process be easy seems pretty damn important. And then also trying to figure out how we transition people from what they're doing to the smart contract version, that seems really important. So from Scottbot to SMTs. But like this is, I don't know, it's kind of even groundbreaking for Hive because it's going to be like one of the biggest communities that we've ever onboarded into Hive. Like anybody.
Yeah, I will look into the comments contracts documentation and we'll try to make a simple interface as soon as possible on tribal decks. The escort configuration interface will also be there. So if someone doesn't want to move, they can use the old one, and the SMT interface will be there as.
Yeah. Hopefully that isn't too big of a distraction, especially since you've basically done it once already, right? It's just now it's the SMT version rather than a Scotbot version.
Yeah, there will be some fixed costs like calling the contracts and setting up and the validation thing. I think the form fields will be the same. I haven't looked at the contract documentation, so can't say much about that right now.
Okay. Um, yeah. So month and a half. We gotta bang this thing out. You know, the more that you can think of like what, even if there's like bare minimums, like even if we're not quite at NFTs, if we can get out like a Tribes 2.0 that is like a Riaz built condenser, and then we're tacking onto that, like anything that we can do to start getting these guys to slowly move over. But like the full big picture is going to be SMTs operating a tribe with blogging that also has NFTs built in. And then the next step is going to be like how we do as many easy like Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 signups as we can. And that's kind of the dream of how do we take some tool from Twitter and turn them into a blogger on a tribe. That's the dream. And then get them being NFT collectors, and then get them being exchange users because it's so damn simple to swap currencies here. And that gets back to Cryptomancer of like, we need to get that freaking tribe, the like decentralized token fund contract working ASAP so that we can bring new tribes on here and incentivize them to stake all these tokens on the exchange.
I actually wanted to clarify with you a bit about exactly how you want the DTF to be expanded. I was just kind of looking over the documentation here while you were talking. So the DTF, I mean, it's for funding proposals. So the proposal right now has to be funded through token inflation for a token that someone issues. So if you're the guy that created that token, then it can be used for funding.
Right. So that very first part of it, if you're the issuer, so I don't want it to just be the issuer. I basically want somebody to be able to go take some pool of tokens of like any kind of crypto that they have, even if it's finite, not like directed from inflation, and say, hey, I want to use this to reward people to, so I'm going to fund the proposal, even though I'm the creator of PoundNet, I'm going to go fund the proposal with a swap.btc. And then for the next couple months, here's this reward pool. And I want it so that if you are staking in the liquidity pool, that's where the rewards are gonna be distributed.
Maybe we can expand the distribution contract that AliEdge had worked on because DTF may not support it, or maybe too much work for DTF.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit confused. The DTF wasn't really designed to make that easy to do.
Right. So what the way that I imagine this working is that you put in a proposal, and so that's going to fund some inflation. And that inflation would then be used with a distribution contract. So the inflation feeds the distribution contract that's reading the stake weight out of the liquidity pools.
So wait, is this more like a
DTF,
reward mechanism for liquidity pools?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DTF can do that right now.
Yeah, there's already a reward mechanism for liquidity pools.
But it's only the issuer, right? Or maybe that was like a holdup of the front end. So again, I'm trying to figure out how do I get. We have like farmer. So how do I get, like, I want to go initiate rewards for farmer if you are staking not just farmer but something else. So now we can use that as one potential reward source. And then, if I want, so like dark energy crystals, if we have a Bitcoin, a Litecoin, or like a Bitcoin and Ethereum pool, how do I get rewards to both of those from dark energy crystals? If I have, it's just like whatever use case I can think of, it's usually either I'm the issuer and I want it to go to multiple pools, or just trying to get rewards to the diesel pools.
I posted in a link there to the documentation for how the rewards work for the liquidity pools. So maybe you could take a look at that and just see if that's something you think could work, or if maybe we can modify that or expand that somehow to be more flexible. Because I'm still having trouble kind of imagining a way forward with this, really. I think I need to study it a lot more.
Well, the basics are we either have inflation or a set amount of tokens, which I'm either the issuer of or I'm not the issuer of. But I have to go get this reward pool and get that into the distribution contract. So with the decentralized token fund, it's like, okay, we vote to get 10% of our inflation, and we're going to give that to the decentralized, or to the rewarding liquidity contract. See you, Lion.
Yeah, I think I have understood what you are saying. DTF can do that, or it's actually not the job of DTF. DTF can be used for the stake-weighted voting, and then DTF can take a contract as a recipient of as beneficiary. So maybe distribution contract can be updated to distribute those reward based on provided liquidity on the market pools. Also, market pools has a rewarding mechanism that CryptoVenture has posted. So to use that, you have to be the issuer of the token. And the thing I am proposing, using the distribution contract, you can send some tokens to that, or any tokens to that, and tell it to distribute this among the liquidity providers. So I think distributors contract needs to be updated rather than messing up with the DTF or market pools.
Okay, yeah, that sounds correct. So maybe if we can get the distribution contract, so that, again, my main problem was, so I wanted to go do B, and I couldn't do B because we're not the issuer. So that's going to take some smart contract deployment. I'm not sure whose baby that is. Probably Cryptomancer, Ian Warped. And then the second one was like, if I want to go distribute, a good use case would be something like D-City wants to go distribute SIM to anybody that's in the dark energy pool, because they know that anybody that's in the dark energy pool is like a trading card gamer and a potential person that might be a customer. And if they get them a small amount of SIM, maybe that will entice them to spend a fair bit more money buying SIMs, or buying not just SIMs, but like all the D-City tokens. So I don't, if I'm Gerber, I don't own or run the DEC pool. I didn't issue DEC, but I want to go distribute my SIMs into the DEC pool. And I don't think that that's currently possible. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the contracts. So
Yeah,
basically, you want to.
if you are not the sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Acha.
Right, so
If you
sorry, you first.
Acha, so right now, if you are not the issuer of the token, you cannot reward anything with the proposal system. So that's maybe need to be updated, maybe just for the B. But I think the token issuer restriction should be there. Otherwise, people gonna exploit it. And to reward the liquidity providers, I think it can be updated. The distribution contract can be updated to reward them based on their share of the pools. So maybe that cannot be voted with the DTF.
Yeah,
but
So
that
that
can
would
be
be a
done.
modification for the distribution contract.
yeah, that sounds right. Because the DTF should just be the token that's like, all right, we have to get something into that distribution contract. Either I have a big chunk of tokens, like Minnow Support owns a whole bunch of PalNet or the PAL coin, so it could just dump, 100,000 PAL into that, and that could be an incentive pool. Or we could set it so that with the DTF controlling inflation, there's a proposal that says put 10% of the inflation into that distribution contract. And either one of those options should work. Good. So
Yep, I think that's the way to go about it.
because let me explain the big problem, right? Like when you first start a token, your token is usually worth shit. You have to go get adoption, you have to get all these people. So like, if all you want to do is just distribute your token, you're going to have to go pay some astronomical sum of money to go, or like some huge value of your token out to get liquidity going. But if you have something like Bitcoin, you could say, hey, here's my new token. You won't get paid in your token, you'll get paid in some swapped up BTC, which is easily tradable and you can bring it anywhere. So the first guys that are providing liquidity are going to get $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. You're going to want to do this. So then people go buy up the token, and maybe at that point it gets some value. And then after you kind of get through that initial phase, maybe you can go switch it so that now you're providing liquidity, and the reward is actually your token again. And so now you're using your decentralized token fund to go say, hey, some of the inflation now goes to this distribution contract, but that's not necessarily where you started from. Does that make more sense of what the hell I'm trying to do, Manser?
I think so. So you want to take a whole bunch of some token that you have and basically add that as a reward for some liquidity pool.
Yes. And I think we're missing a piece of the distribution contract to do that.
Okay. All right. Let me think about how to phrase that and put it to Don Chait and see what he thinks about it.
Okay. All right. Riaz, anything else that's on your plate, or should we go to bait?
I'm good. I'll continue to work on condenser coming week until Cryptomancer is ready with the BSC gateway. Then I'll switch back to Travel Dex again.
Okay. Yeah. I think like the fate of the business. Well, there's two things. The like long-term fate of this business, I really think, is combining the blogging aspect and the NFTs. And when we get that, I think we'll have a nice little renaissance here. So the more, I know we're going to keep distracting you, but the more you can prioritize getting that done, the better. And then to immediately disrupt that, one example is I've been working with El Gecko on on DeFi Dojo. So I think we're actually going to be pretty close. So over the next little like week or two, hopefully we'll be the first to go launch like a full pack token through Tribal Dex, and I'll probably need some help and assistance from you. But we need to go, like, I need more revenue coming in, and this is a great way to. Here's a collectible. It's the first use of this contract. Hopefully, it showcases that this is a good place to make these kinds of things, and then hopefully the community supports buying these, because that's going to be our development fund for the next little bit. So I guess my point is I'm gonna ask you for some help getting the DeFi Dojo collectible pack token launched, hopefully in the next week or two.
Yeah, no problem. That is one of my favorite contracts.
Sweet. All right. Anything else, Riaz?
No, I'm good.
All right, Bait, come talk to us. What are you working on these days?
Hey, good afternoon. I've been working on Barhot. I spent an initial part of the week working on the Hive-Engine mobile updates, but I had to switch focus to Barhot, and I was able to create new things, which is one of the things I shared to you. So I had to alter the initial flow to ensure that it meets the demand of the meeting based on the meeting we had the other day. So I'm going to be dropping some screenshots just to be sure that what I have is consistent with the overall idea of the the conversation we had. So this is the new skin. So we have this. So what I want now is so that people can actually go on to start creating their documents, even if they haven't registered. But they get to register if they intend to save their project, because there's going to be a public directory where the whatever document an individual has created and shared will be listed. So there are going to be samples, and there's going to be something of some steps based on what you said I should do. So I'm actually trying to look for one of such. Like I found a sample, which is what I'm going to be working with for the most part, basically. And I'm trying to bring that up right now. So but, the initial design was that I just have a lot of pre-made templates, and the user gets to choose which one or that one. But right now, I'm sticking with something that looks like this for the actual affidavit creation. So it's coming up. So you're going to have different steps, and through the steps, the user can actually get to preview what the document looks like at every point in time. So it's just like go through step one, but and I'm not also going to be creating the user account and then the profiles differently, so that the user can have a profile for different kind of cases, because some information will not be relevant to certain kind of documents. So if a user decides to populate his information on a form and intends to save the information so that he can always use them later on, or he just intends to use it as a one-time for a one-time usage. So all of these functionalities are what I'm working on implementing. So once I'm able to finish up with the flow of the UI, I'm going to go on to add more API endpoints to be able to manage the demands of the front end. So I think that's what I've been working on so far. So I hope the new skin is nice enough and the flow I explained is good enough.
Yeah, I think property, high value things, certificates. We might need certificates. Seems more like cases. So like
Okay.
what cases do you have going on? And then for civil suits, yeah. So let's see. Um, this is sort of the whole thing is meant as like a do-it-yourself legal. So like
Yeah.
on the defense end, like the main documents that are sort of in the works here are
And then one of the things I realized is that we can. I doubt if we can get to be able to add all of the templates you listed for the MVP. I think we just have to stick with maybe about 5 to 10 of them, or maybe just about 5 maximum or 6 maximum for a start. And we can keep on adding more and more templates based on how much mastery we are able to get on them. The way the document should look like. So I think we should actually start with the very basic ones and the most sought for ones.
all right. So that's sort of like the step-by-step process of one of the guys that I'm following the most. He basically does this. So he goes through, get an affidavit of status together. That's just your general who the hell am I. You get your affidavit of fact, which pulls together a lot of the affidavit of status, repeats it, and then you put in affidavit of like, this is what actually happened. It's something like, if you don't respond to this, and here's all the problems with what you said, then a claim comes due. And meanwhile, we're going to go do a cease and desist, leave me the hell alone. Then we start with state civil suits, state criminal complaints, federal civil suits, federal criminal complaints, and one of the ultimate goals is to walk them down a 42 USC 1983 lawsuit. That's clearly America first because USC is US code, but that gets us there. I like the idea of having leases, trusts. I don't even know all the different types of legal documents, but like as we go through this, having it, like we just try to figure out the basic. which I think is the first four things that I list there: affidavit of status, affidavit of fact, declaration of deficiencies and irregularities, and then the cease and desist. And
Okay.
but those things are going to populate based off of your property, your the high value listings, your family,
Profile.
yeah,
Yeah.
like profile stuff, so that you get your profile in once, and then all this shit out of your affidavit of status and affidavit of fact will mostly populate, and then you'll get, you know, when you like click on affidavit of fact, you know, it'll be mostly done, you know, like you would do an affidavit of fact for, so like, I walk into Walmart and Walmart tells me you have to go put a mask on. And I'm like, I'm not putting a mask on. I'm just going to shop here. And then they assault me. So now, you know, I would send in, like, on the one hand, they're probably going to go start a settlement or a suit for trespassing against me. And we have to figure out what to do about that. And at the same time, I'm going to have to go figure out, like, all right, here's my affidavit of status, my affidavit of fact. If you guys don't rebut it, here's a claim, and I need you to go cease and desist your legal proceedings. And that's kind of like the first four like documents that you need more or less off the shelf. And then after that, then we start saying things like, hey, you guys were violating my rights. And as you violated my rights, here are my complaints against you personally and against your business. And so that's kind of like the step-by-step. So there's some things that people in this movement are like, you know, mask ordinances, trespass, like you're going to get fired if you don't get vaccinated. Those are some of like the first things that, you know, people that I'm talking to are getting like a lot of legal headaches around right now. And if we can provide some documents and templates that provide remedy, that would pull a bunch of people here.
Okay. So basically, these two will fall under pre-court and in-court. So I think the categorization also matters so that we can be consistent all through the different phases. Even if you're starting, I think based on the explanation, affidavit of status and fact, this should actually go into the pre-court category, while some others will go into the in-court categories,
Yeah.
if that's correct.
No, that's actually a pretty nice distinction, because all that, as you mentioned, is in court or pre-court.
Yeah.
But then when you get in court, now it's like motion to strike, motion to do this. So, you know,
Yeah.
there we're going to need a profile. Like anytime that you're in a case, you need like a case profile that's separate from your man profile, right? What court are you in? Who are the defendants? Who are the people? So actually, somewhere in here, in like, you know, you should have the option to go create like pre-court issues. So each issue is going to have, you'll list, you know, first question would be, are you the plaintiff, or are you the prosecutor here, or are you the defendant? Pre-court and in-court. Let me look at this real quick. So, but it's not, I guess what I'm saying is that one of the things that I recognized in my divorce is I went from like I got one document that was like, here's here's 2 counts of divorce, and here's the money that we want. And then like within 3 months, it was somehow like 5 different court cases. So this stuff has some kind of weird tendency to just grow. Once you're in it, like, there's more to it than just the one court case. So
you might have to repeat each process. You might have to repeat each process several times just within the same case. You might have to maybe like state your fact over and over. Maybe facts might change. Is that what you mean?
Well, I'm trying to say, like, okay, if you really don't like wearing masks, you're going to go walk into Walgreens, and then you're going to walk into CVS, and you're going to walk into Walmart, and you're going to walk into Target, and they beat your ass in all of them. You know, it's the same process. You're going to send the same 4 documents to each one of those companies.
Yeah.
But now it's 4 separate pre-court pieces. So to me, it's like you need... and in each one of them, you're going to have a list of different people, some of which might overlap, but it's going to be something like, I'm going to send it to the guy that actually assaulted me. I'm going to send it to them. Or the guy that's at the door that's telling me I can't walk in or I can't shop. Now I also have to go involve the cop. Now I have to go involve like some legal department somewhere. So in each one of your pre-court things, I need to know who am I going after. So like,
Okay.
so there needs to be a button that's like new issue, or like
Yeah, that I was about to say that. Like new cases, or maybe continue an old case or a new case entirely, depending on who the target is this time.
so in each time
So there will be different instances for an affidavit of status. One could be targeting Walmart, the other could be targeting Target. You know, different instances for each one of them,
and so
and you
in
can
the,
also
so in the status when I click on it, so I put in the profile once, and or I'll put in like here's the issue. It's Walmart. So here's this is the greeter at Walmart. This is the store at Walmart, and that's the cop that was involved, and that's the judge that's involved. And so now in
Okay.
that when I go to my affidavit of status, those four parties, I know their names and I know their addresses, and they're automatically listed as the people I'm sending this to. And then when I do the cease and desist, if I'm doing it under that same new pre-court thing, it's going to pull up those same four addresses so that it's already pre-populated and ready to go.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we can actually have maybe a functionality called case files or something, targeting each individual cases. Then there will be records stored for those cases, so that if you be creating any further document under that case, the name should be the same. All the details are like data will be the same regarding that particular case, which will be only applicable to that case for the most part. So if there will be a new case file, you might have to populate new data, new facts, and so on. That's correct.
And then, if it actually goes to trial, then we have to have you like in trial, you might have a couple chances to just dismiss everything. So you have like motions to strike, motions to dismiss, motion to whatever. You put in affidavits with those. So you start with your, I'm going to create a new case. So now I don't know what we would call it pre-court, but new incident. And now it's new case because it's an actual court case.
Okay.
So you click the case button, and then you have to go populate who the defendants are. Maybe you can import that from a pre-court thing, but now,
file.
yeah, and now you have a different templates like you have here. It's your motion to strike, or your motion to dismiss, or your motion for summary judgment. And now, like when you get into court, now you also have to know like what court case am I filing this thing into. So there should be like it's called the caption, where you have like in the court of so and so of the state of or federal district number, and then you would put in who's the judge if and you would put in yourself as either the plaintiff or the defendant, and so we have to know if you're the plaintiff or if you're the defendant. So there's like in each one of these, so there's the whole profile, which is like I live here, and then there's like the pre-court, which is your incident of who you're mailing it to, and maybe like you could have a little note page for what happened that day, or when the incident was, and then you finally get into court, and now it's you might even have multiple court cases, so you keep clicking new case, and maybe there's like a folder, so like all things could be Walmart, and you can have 3 different cases that relate to Walmart. And then you have Target, and you have 2 cases there. So like you have one big folder, and you might have multiple cases underneath that. And then at some point, we get into divorce too, because like divorce is the biggest fucking like industry, one of the biggest industries ever. So we got to go through all these different things. There's not like an immediate like first or last, but if we can help people going through this, man, saving people money on legal documents and lawyers would make us a lot of friends quickly.
So basically what we are replicating is just more like the physical files. So it's more like when you have a shelf, you have different case files, and then you just get to sort out which one, depending on the information you need or what you need to work on at the point in time. So they are just different case files. We can actually call them case files on this project for the sake of understanding, and maybe give the users a little bit of description as to what we mean by case files, so that they know how to actually use them. So we just have to name certain things using certain conventions for the sake of the product.
Yeah, my guess too is that we have to provide, like, what are the different options, right? So like, Mansur's never gone to court. Mansur, if I tell you what are the 9 different motion types that you can do at the beginning of a trial, my guess is that you'll have no idea. Would you how many motion types do you think you could list at the start of a trial?
Guilty or not guilty?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
so it's a kind of thing of like, none of us, for some reason, the state didn't decide that it was a good part of our education to know how to like fight in court. So nobody goes through this stuff unless you're like an attorney, and even then, your knowledge is probably just like procedural. Nobody has any ideas of even what the options are. So what I want this to be is like, there's got to be stages to the court process too. So pre-court is really like the first stage. In court is now like the second big stage, but in that pre-court, it might be there's at least 2 different sections where it's probably like 5 or 6 sections where like you're in the motions part of that court, then you get into now you're doing discovery, and now you're getting into judgment. So I just missed a couple people, and I'm sure there's a couple steps, and I'm sure there's some attorneys rolling their eyes. But there's a couple different steps within an in-court piece. So, we need to have like, in step 1, here's the documents. In step 2, you would use these. Which of these would make sense? In step 3, it would be these. And then all that might be for what you're doing on defense. And then we have to have the options of what you're going to do when you're on offense, of like, oh, they violated your right. Oh, they slammed your head into cement. Oh, they, shot you. What are you going to sue them for? So, if I were to ask Cryptomancer, name 10 things you could sue somebody for, my guess is he'll say like theft, assault, and then you kind of like run out. But, there's like a crap ton of these things that you can cite, but people don't necessarily know your options. So what we have to do is sort of like have a checkbox of, did they do this to you? 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 And if so, then like you click all those check boxes, and now we start assembling like the basics of a court case against these people. So it's not going to be as good as what like some attorney might write, but frankly, like, if we could get this far of here's some template stuff, and you put in the incidents and facts, and in fact maybe that's even part of the profile of like you put in the incidents and facts. And then when you get to like the section that's about it, it would pull those incidents and facts in. So you only have to write the incidents and facts 1, but any time that you're like pulling in, well, in this motion to strike, here's the incidents. And then in this motion to dismiss, here's the incidents. And so like maybe we do numbered incidents and facts, and that way you can check the boxes of which ones you want to import. And now we can start kind of like cookie cutter templating your cases together, and we can help all these patriots that are getting sued in court.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that works. That's clear. So it's more like it's in as much as it's a tool that actually helps provide the means for people to fight their legal battles. It's also going to be sensitizing people to an extent to let them know what is expected of them if they are to run into certain situations.
Yeah, because none of us have any idea. What are your options? I went to these great private schools and know nothing about this. It's such a deficiency in like the American education, and I'm betting it's everywhere, because it's not like the courts and the system want you to be a competent fighter in court. They want you reliant on them. But and then we also need to put in there at least like links to these 2 things. Hold on, I'll type it. So those are 2 things that we'll want in there too. So the bar grievance is a way to just like complain about the ethics of the bar, or the bar attorney that's fighting with you, and the judicial complaint is a way to go mess with the judge. So those would be like separate files, or maybe they're just directories of like, this is where you find the one for Alaska, this is where you find the one for Minnesota. But that would be those are just ways that in all this court stuff, you kind of need an offense and a defense. and that would be your offense and defense. And then at some point, if we get anybody using this, then we can start taking, like, if attorneys want to advertise themselves on this platform, then that's how I guess it makes revenue.
Okay. I see.
All right, let's call this a meeting. Thanks for staying a little bit late. Bate, why don't you stick around for a little bit? But otherwise, thanks for being here. This was a little bit on a couple different topics here to the audience, but hopefully that gives you a sense of there are some pretty cool things that are happening. We are getting the NFTs built into the tribes. We have SMTs. We're getting BSC. Next up is going to be WAX. We're concerned about security, and we're concerned about optimization and just making sure things function. And then we're also interested in bringing users, of which this whole legal system thing should be pretty sexy, to go get users to at least view our stuff and like participate with us for reasons that aren't just blockchain, and who knows, maybe we can pull them in. So those are some of the things I wanted to talk about. Anything that you guys want to say as kind of an outro here?
Nope, I'm good for now.
Nothing from my side as well.
All righty. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time, and we'll be here next week. Bye all.